Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the MMA Freak Fighter of the Week. And I'm actually going to start doing something a little bit differently. On certain weeks, I am going to actually talk about the event related to the fighter in full. I'm actually going to talk about two events this week, both on the same weekend. Anyways, first things first. The fighter of the week is Matt Mitrione, who, without a doubt, upset the last Emperor Fedor Emelianenko at Bellator NYC. And just this review in general is going to talk mainly about Bellator NYC and Bellator 180, because technically it was two different fight cards. But anyway, so long story short, it was a good event. Bellator definitely had a good showing in New York at Madison Square Garden. The first Bellator event in Madison Square Garden since MMA was legalized last year. It was a good show, but the best way to describe the event and this weekend in general in terms of MMA was bizarre. I mean, it was a great weekend. There were some good fights, but there was also just some bizarre stuff going on throughout the weekend. So, just one example, starting from the main event, you had Chael Sonnen going up to his antics, but he did something that's just like, basically he was looking for trouble when he basically said, "I hate New York." In New York, in Madison Square Garden. And then, of course, you had Vanderlei shoving him when, traditionally you would bury the hatchet with some kind of protracted, feud like that. But Vanderlei is not one of those guys who easily forgets something like that. So you had that main event, and Chael Sonnen managed to, for lack of a better word, piss off Tito Ortiz again. Because Tito just had this look of, "Are you kidding me? I want to destroy you," after Chael made the comment about Tito Ortiz. So it's just one of those things where, yeah, Chael's trying to rouse some feathers. Chael is trying to make some money fights. I don't know if Chael's intention is trying to lure Tito out of retirement, but we'll see how that goes. And then there was, I'm going to refer to it as a co-main event. I know Bellator likes to sometimes refer to their fights as double main events, but it was a co-main event. It was not the last fight of the night. Not to mention, you had the Gracie fight come on right after the Neiman-Gracie fight, in which he defeated Dave Marfon. And of note, the Gracies have not really been a significant factor in MMA for probably about the past decade. They've been present, but none of them have won titles as of late. So seeing a Gracie get back into the mainstream and utilizing striking, because he did utilize striking, and we could possibly see Gracie win a championship in a major promotion again for the first time in a while. We'll see about that. So then going on to the co-main event, and this was one of the bizarre parts, was Matt Mitrione versus Fedor Emelianenko. I honestly thought Fedor was going to win. Anyone going in there probably thought Fedor was going to win. Matt Mitrione was basically a mid-level, maybe gatekeeper status fighter. You wouldn't think a guy like that would knock out the last Emperor, the guy who ruled the heavyweight division for years, for the better part of a decade. He was the fighter of the year for the 2000s, and it was just one of those things where it was bizarre because of the way it ended. It's not that Matt Mitrione knocked out the last Emperor, Fedor. but it was a double knockout. They knocked each other down. Now, granted, I think Mitrione Mitrione legitimately had Fedor rocked, but at the same time, Fedor connected and they both went down. I honestly thought it was a double knockout, but then you see Mitrione getting up quicker, and then you see Fedor getting up more closely, and then honestly, I thought he would recover and he'd roll into an armbar. Didn't happen, but one thing to take away from this is that, something that we've seen with fighters over time is that, their solid chins and their recovery time and whatnot deteriorates. And this is what happened with Fedor on last Saturday night. He's not the fighter that he was. And we know that he can be knocked out. And this is what happened. But as I said, it was just a bizarre situation to see a double knockdown like that. Like I said, Mitrione, I don't think he ever lost consciousness. It looked like maybe the force of that shot knocked him down, but he didn't look rocked. He landed on his butt. So I don't think, and it's going to be interesting, and Mitrione did allude to maybe fighting for the vacant, it's been vacant for over a year, the vacant Bellator heavyweight championship. Maybe that could happen. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Then moving along on the card, we also had the Michael Chandler fight where Chandler sprained his own ankle, and the fight ended on that. That was another part of this bizarre theme of the weekend, is that Michael Chandler sprained his own ankle in a title fight in the first round, and as a result, Brent Primus became the the lightweight champion in Bellator, and it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, it's just one of those things where stuff happens. But anyways, then I think the last one of the bizarres that I'm going to go over, and then I'm going to quickly talk about UFC Fight Night 112, was the bizarre fight where Aaron Pico, obviously very hyped, he was just getting on his debut, fought basically a journeyman fighter in Zach Freeman, and he got knocked down and then submitted. And it was just one of those things where Zach Freeman was celebrating like he won the championship or something like that. And I'm just seeing him win this. I'm just thinking, why are you celebrating? You knocked out a guy making his debut. Granted, he was very hyped, but you knocked out a guy making his MMA debut. So that's about all I could say about Bellator NYC. Like I said, it was a good fight. It was a good fight, event overall. Bizarre, but definitely a great event. So then I'm going along with the bizarre theme. I'm going with UFC Fight Night 212, which or 112, which also called UFC Fight Night Chiesa versus Lee. Again, good fights, but the bizarre theme happened. I don't know why this weekend bizarre happened. You had two fighters miss weight and two catchweight fights as a result. And we're not talking about that. Johnny Hendricks moved up a weight and missed weight. So you're just left thinking, is he going along the same thing as Anthony Johnson? I mean, it's just one of those things where you just look at it and you're just thinking, wow, where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? And then on top of that, you had the infamous Justine Kish pooping all over the octagon thing. This is not the first time this has happened. It's the first time it's happened in the UFC. It's not the first time this happened. There's been a few MMA fights that have gone on. There was one last year where a guy got choked out and then he, crapped all over the the cage, and then of course the camera operator zooming in on it. So we don't need to see that. So it was yeah. So yeah, good weekend of fights. It was just bizarre, and congrats to Matt Mitrione for pulling possibly the upset of the year. It's still 6 months is a long time. Anything can happen, but we'll see about that. So thank you for watching, and tomorrow I will finally upload the debut episode of the MMA Freak Show. I will be talking about the history of UFC developmental leagues and how it will roll into the rest of the summer. So thank you very much. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, do whatever. I'm at Matthew Salzer is my Twitter handle. At MMA Freak is the Twitter handle. As I said, be sure to subscribe. Check out the website. Thank you. Have a good night. See you next time.